Joe Dreamz, who do you think you are? Everyone knows that there's this law of proximity, that the people that you're around, you absorb their energy in one way or another. And I literally get to sit down with people that have accomplished amazing things, and I get to ask them the questions that I want to know. And that's what I get to do. What is your dream?
So imagine a world where everyone is living their dreams. And so I want to make this lifestyle of living your dreams so attractive and look like so much fun that when we look at the fast life, like I was saying earlier, like it's just like it looks boring and it looks old and people don't even want to engage with it anymore. Not because we're criticizing it, but just because we created a so much better of an alternative that makes it irrelevant.
If I come into training 1 or 2 hours early and I leave 1 or 2 hours late, I'm getting 4 extra hours of practice every single day. In 365 days, that's an additional, 12,000 hours that my competitors are not putting in.
That's right.
What message?
Live Joe Dreamz.
Live Joe Dreamz. Let's go. Hell yeah. I love it. Welcome back. This is the A-Listers Show. Another episode, another amazing guest. Today, we have Joe Dreamz. Don't forget the Z. He is a San Diego street performer, musician, content creator, just a lot of energy, great guy to have around, and I'm super excited to introduce to you Joe Dreamz.
Hello there.
How you doing today?
Hey, better now that you're here.
Hey, all right. Question for you. What would it be like in a world where everyone lives their own dreams?
It'd be terrible. The worst thing ever.
What does it mean to live your own dream?
To me, living your dreams is doing what you love doing.
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do?
What don't I do is the better question. But
What don't you do?
What I do will still kill as far as, well. Cut. All right, cut. But yes, I make inspirational hip hop music, and the reason why I love doing that is because I'm really passionate about two things. Really passionate about music and personal development. So this is my way of putting them both together. Because like I love listening to audiobooks and that kind of stuff. I was like, imagine if I could absorb some of these lessons and then put them in the music. Because I have a bunch of friends. Like, have you ever listened to an audiobook and you learn some really eye-opening things? You're like, everyone I know needs to know this.
Yes.
But if you share them a book or audiobook and then you see them next week, like, hey, you check that out? Oh, yeah, this or that. Hey, but you check out that new whatever album? Yeah, I'll listen to that. So I was like, okay, imagine if we can get these lessons or these main concepts and put them in music. And so that's kind of how Joe Dreamz came about.
That's a beautiful thing. What's one of the audiobooks that you heard that made you think about to do that? Was there some book that you heard or something that you listened to that kind of began that inspiration?
For combining the messages with music?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was an audiobook, a certain audiobook in particular, but it was just like having two different passions and like, oh, I can put these things into one.
Yeah.
Or imagine if there was like if you go to Barnes and Noble, they have like a self-help section. Like imagine if there was that in hip hop, because like we really need it, because the fast life, we know about that lifestyle and what the fruit of that lifestyle is. And so I want to have the Live Joe Dreamz lifestyle, like the lifestyle living your dreams. Like I want to make that lifestyle so attractive and look like so much fun that when a kid scrolls through his TikTok and sees the guns waving, they're like, that's old, that's boring, right? Because that's how I kind of see it. Because I mean, forget whether you think it's good or moral or not. It's just, to me, it's just like really repetitive and it's old. They've been talking about the same messages since the early 1990s, and we're going on 2025. Still talking about the same stuff, and we look at the state of our culture. So it's like, let's try something new. Yeah. Let's have a new lifestyle. And so that's what my goal is with my content, and I have music videos that I'm planning on putting out just to really sell this Live Joe Dreamz lifestyle and make this like a North Star for young people.
I love that. It's the movement. You're really creating a movement, aren't you?
I wouldn't say I'm creating a movement, because the movement already exists in many ways, because there's already a lot of people out there who believe in living your dreams. They might not say the words living your dreams. It might be God's calling, or it might be ikigai if you're Japanese, or it might be, your passion or what you love, right? There's different ways of people saying it and stuff. And this has been around forever. I'm just kind of repackaging it in a new and fresh way with Live Joe Dreamz.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's what is so amazing about, life and meeting people is everyone has their own perspective. We all have a unique perspective. So we take in all this different information, and then the way that we reflect it onto the world is our own flavor of it. And so that's what you're doing. You're taking in all this different information from different sources, and then you're making something that's yours and real. And then people see that and they identify with it, and they can grasp onto it, and they identify with your music, and they want to hear more.
Mm-hmm. As you were saying that, I actually thought about you as being a podcast host, because taking information from so many different sources, you have all kind of people who have sat in this chair.
That was good. I like that. That's
and I'm
true.
sure you've learned, and I had a question for you. I was like, who do you think you're becoming in this process of being around all these successful people and breaking down? Like, I was watching your podcast of a guy who sold my business for $1 million, and this dude was just giving out all kind of game. I was like, man, this is such an underrated podcast. Like, you saw my comment on I was like, this is some good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, I could only imagine. I don't know how many episodes you've done or haven't even released yet. I'm sure, like, just and then off camera, the discussions you might be having. Like, who do you feel like you become in this process?
Thank you for asking that question, because it's something I'm very passionate about. And, man, this podcast has done so much for me. I'm so grateful that I got into it. Just everyone knows that there's this law of proximity, that the people that you're around, you absorb their energy in one way or another. And I literally get to sit down with people that have accomplished amazing things, and I get to ask them the questions that I'm curious about. And I'm genuinely curious. And I'm in the unique perspective that I get to invite people on my show that I'm curious about. And I get to ask them the questions that I want to know. I mean, what would your life be like if you could ask your idols, ask the people that you respect any question you want? And that's what I get to do. It's an amazing, amazing thing, and I'm so grateful that I have this experience. And I think more people should do it.
Wow. As you were talking, it just reminded me of AI, and it just like the people you idolize, even the ones from the past. Imagine if, like, their work was uploaded to some source where you can just ask Gandhi a question about, like, hey, I got this problem at work. Like, what would you do?
That would be interesting. That would be crazy. Although there's one thing where, okay, the information already exists. It's all on the internet. It's already there. It's on Wikipedia. It's on ChatGPT. It's on some blog someplace. Like, the information is there. So two things. One is, the information without the implementation is worthless. And the other thing is, there's levels to the way that you absorb the information. For example, you hear an audiobook and you get one thing, but somebody else can hear a song, right, and get something else from it. So the way that you consume the information is also important, and there's levels to it. So it's one thing to, read something on the internet, one thing to watch a podcast. It's another thing to actually get in the room with somebody and have them speak to your questions and answer your questions in person. And the level of information, the level of that you grasp it and what you take away from it changes on the different levels of information that you're actually getting from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's like if you're watching a tutorial versus if someone's teaching you how to fix your car. Like, here, let me show you, versus like, here's this video on how to do it. Yeah, exactly. And I have to actually, sometimes when there's like a fire podcast. So this is the ultimate personal development.
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I'll be watching a podcast or like doing a podcast, and I'll be like wrapped up in the conversation, and like a fire podcast will happen, and I'll have to like go back and watch it a few times, because I'm like, damn, there was so much in that. Like that one with Louis Torres where like he was spitting serious game in there, and I was like, dang, like I need to go back and rewatch this, because it definitely.
Yeah, what he said about, it's not about with like what you know is about the customer's perception of how what you're doing is going to solve their problem.
Mm-hmm.
I had to like rewind that one. I was like,
isn't it nice when
it's
you like
nice.
listening to something and then like
Yeah.
you just like, you know, like Gen Z, you're just like bars. You know, you're like, damn, that hit different. And I think
Yeah,
what
well,
we
good
have,
on you for asking the right questions and stuff.
I try, you know, I really try. And there's a podcaster that I idolize. I don't know if I like that word, but there's a podcaster that I really respect. His name is Chris Williamson.
Wait, why don't you like that word? I'm curious.
I don't believe that we should be idolizing people. I don't care how good you are. I mean, you're not an
Not even
idol.
like Jesus or something?
That's different, I think. I guess I was more referring to people on, you know, like humans, you know, like humans that I know maybe,
Yes.
you know. So yeah, I think because when you idolize somebody, you make them more than human. But I mean, if you're a religious figure, you want to idolize Buddha, Jesus, you know, Muhammad, whatever it is, that can be very powerful. But I think when you start to idolize, let's say, an entrepreneur, then you start to take away the human aspect out of them. Mm-hmm. And now they're like on this pedestal when in the reality, they have 24 hours in a day, they have a brain, they have a heart, they have lungs. And if they can do something, then I can do that thing too. Mm-hmm. So I like to think like that. But yeah.
You were about to say something like
Chris Williamson.
Chris Williamson.
Yeah. So he had this amazing podcast with Alex Hormozy where he was talking about how one day he decided to go pro in podcasting. And what this means is whatever your craft may be, whether it's music, entrepreneurship, podcasting, at some point when you want to take it to the next level, you need to make the decision to go pro. And what that means is if you look at an athlete and what they do to be pro, they're training every single day. They're obsessed over every little detail on development. They're not stagnant in how they do it. And they're already pro, but every single day they're showing up to training. Their diet is right. Their sleep is right. Their day is planned out. And they're devoted into becoming the best possible athlete. But those same principles apply to everything else we do in life. Anything you want to be good at, you can make the decision to go pro. And once you make that decision, you need to think about what does it mean to go pro? And how could you implement those things so that you can get to where you want to be? You know, a lot of us do side hustles or part-time gigs, but the second you decide to go pro and you think, if I was a professional athlete, how would a professional athlete approach podcasting? I was like, damn. That's deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would have the lighting. They would have a crew.
They would do research. They would do research on the subject. Mm-hmm. They would think about what questions they're going to ask. A 50-minute podcast is not very long, so if I have certain things I need to ask because I'm very curious, I need to make sure that I write them down beforehand so that the questions are well formulated by the time I'm in front of somebody.
So how did you come to value curiosity?
I'm hungry. You know, I want big things in life.
Was that something that came during the Army? Because I remember yesterday you said they broke down and build up. Was that part of the build-up process when you became to value that?
The military was part of the breakdown process. I think before the military, I was raw material, right? And then during the military, it's like, okay, we need to like remove all this waste, all this fat, all this bad stuff, you know, and like I used to be a big talker. I used to talk all the time. I used to push people's buttons, and day one,
get a rise out of them.
Get a rise out of them, get attention, whatever it is. But day one in the military, I tried that shit, and it was like, this is not gonna fly here.
What was the circumstance that you tried that?
It was funny. We were in one time. It was a boot camp, right? And there was this drill sergeant, big scary dude, and he said, you know, everyone needs to. What did he say? Everyone needs to have. I was being punished for something that I did. I don't specifically remember, and I tried to talk my way out of it. Because my whole life I've kind of been like a talker. I've kind of been like, I thought I was hot shit. I thought I was like, I could like convince people to do things. I thought I could like manipulate people. And so I tried to manipulate this drill sergeant. For anyone that wants to...
What did you say though? Do you remember?
I don't remember what it was. I tried to like talk my way out of a situation.
Was it like doing some exercise or something?
No, he wanted us to like, I think it was, he wanted us to I don't remember what it was, but there was some technicality that I was trying to get out on, and he wanted to do something. I didn't do it exactly the right way, and I was being punished for it. But I didn't think I should be punished because technically I did this. And so instead of just like, yes, drill sergeant, hit my push-ups, I'm like, well, sir, technically this, and like I paid for that for like the rest of the boot camp because like I set the tone.
What did he like? How did he punish you for that?
Well, when you let someone know that you're a smartass, that sticks with you.
You feel like there was a target on your back.
There was a target on my back.
Like you had to do extra work. Or...
Yeah, I stood out.
I see.
That was one thing.
Because he's thinking about a real war situation.
Yes.
And he's thinking like, if I told you to do that, and you're like, well, what about?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that happened on multiple occasions. It even kind of took some time for me to figure that out. But I
see.
One thing.
So the Army gave you what you needed.
They did.
Because they were the only person who could have taught you that.
It was.
Anywhere in civilian war, you could just walk away.
Walk away.
Like,
yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
But there, it's like, we own you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was very frustrating. Yeah, it's very frustrating. But to be broken down like that, to where it's like, it's you have no other option but to stick it through. Technically you could quit. Technically, I mean, but like it's like a bad situation. You don't want to go through that.
Especially because your whole family is like, oh, congratulations on being in the military. My son is serving, and then a few weeks later you're back. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
The other thing too is I always wanted to stand out. Mm-hmm. And in the military, you don't want to stand out. In boot camp, you don't. In those types of environments, you don't want to stand out. And it was really hard for me not to stand out.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to be they call it the gray man, right? It's like not too high, not the best, not the worst, but like undetectable.
I see. And that I get it because we live in an individualistic culture.
Yeah.
But military, you need to be collective.
Yeah.
I see.
But the thing is, it's not that they broke me in that way. It's that I learned how to work within a system. I learned how to be a team player. Mm-hmm. And that was really important because I always have this urge to like speak out, to like, be the center of attention. But there's a time and a place, and you need to turn that off sometimes, and that was a big learning point for me.
And what made you want to stand out? Like what was it that was like, I need to stand out? Otherwise, like what was like the thought process behind that?
I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, that's just what I would do. I would always be the class clown. I was always the one, trying to make jokes. I was always the one speaking out in class. I was always being the one told to go outside because I wouldn't stop talking. And it wasn't that I was like talking to my friends. I was like shouting out jokes, in the middle of the class, trying to make people laugh and get attention, get people to like me. And so,
I see.
Yeah, that was something I had to work on because there's a time and a place for it. It doesn't always work, And also, it's like, there's a world outside of me. It's like,
really?
I don't know. Don't you think? It's like, because some people, it's like there's a world outside of you, and like you need to pay attention and listen more than you speak.
Yeah, I was like you said during your presentation of the 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah, I was speaking more than I was listening.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the most attention you've ever gotten at once?
I was going viral on TikTok for a minute.
Was it the one from your presentation?
I had that one. I had another one too.
You had another one that went more viral?
Yeah, I had one like 7 million views.
And what was going on in that video?
It was just some stupid video. I got promoted to purple belt in jiu-jitsu. And I was walking down the aisle. When you get promoted, everyone lines up and they whip you with a belt. So like it's called the corridor.
Oh, I see. Because you're getting promoted, but it's also instilling humility at the same time within the promotion.
Yeah, probably.
I see.
Yeah, I like that.
I can see why.
I don't know where the tradition came from, but it's something that a lot of jiu-jitsu schools do to commemorate you. Even in like the military, if you complete certain schools, those will take a little pin, and they put it on your chest, and they slam it.
I wonder why that's important.
That's a good question.
I mean, it must be a reason for that. It's not like, oh, we just happen to do this. There's probably some meaning because it would associate that with the award in the mind. Perhaps it's kind of like a reminder of the pain that it took to get.
I think that's what exactly what it is. It's that you went through so much pain to accomplish this accomplishment.
Yeah, maybe it's like the ice bath for the coach after they win.
Yeah,
that's the same
similar. Yeah. But you went through so much pain to get to this where you are today that this little pain, the getting whipped with a belt, it's nothing because you endured so much that this little piece of pain is like pleasure to you.
Aha. I see. Now, how would you compare the boot camp from the military to maybe boot camp? I don't know if that's the right word for martial arts. And like, how was the breakdown process different with martial arts versus the military?
That's a good question. I don't see them too related, but the one biggest thing that I take away from martial arts, and I'm so grateful I have this experience, is with martial arts, I learned how to learn. And let me explain. The first thing is that you have to do the boring things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And even when you think you understand, like the simple steps, like the one little step, do it over and over and over and over until it becomes like so mundane, and then do it 100 more times. And that's how you become a master. That's one. And the other thing is, like, there's levels to shit. There are levels. And you know, you can learn something from a black belt, or you can learn something from like a blue or purple belt or whatever. But, you know, you need to filter the information that you're taking in.
Based on who it's coming from.
Based on who it's coming from. Yeah, that's important. So you seek out the best people in your field, and then you shut up and you listen.
A-listers.
The A-listers.
So this podcast really began a long time ago before it began here.
That's true. That's true. Maybe my desire to acquire knowledge and curiosity in part was contributed by my inspiration of learning things through the best in the world that I learned from jiu-jitsu.
And I was also wondering, when did you make that connection between my name is Alistair and it's also A-lister? Like, how old were you? What was the circumstance? Did someone else give you the idea?
That's funny. Phil, if you're watching this, I have to give you credit. My boy Phil, all right, he been calling me A-lister for much longer than I remember. But he was, yo, A-lister. What's up, brother? And then one day I was like, okay, what do I call this podcast? What do I call this podcast? And I may have been smoking marijuana, but I don't know. And then this one day it just hit me. I was like, ding, A-lister show. That's dope. A-list.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then I've just been riding with this since, like the A-list, like the A-lister community, the A-list agency, you know?
Yeah.
Just A-list, you know? Alistair is a derivation of Alexander, I guess.
Alexander the Great.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
Alistair the Great.
Exactly. Thank you, Joe. Joe, tell me about what your dream is. What is your dream? Before you get into that, and sorry to cut you off, but I want to tell a story about how we first met.
Okay.
So we were at this mixer.
Tinder.
No. So we were at this mixer, right? A San Diego mixer on this beautiful penthouse with a beautiful view overlooking San Diego. It sounds romantic, guys, but stick with me, okay? It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were at this amazing event put on by my buddy Alec Mountain. Shout out, he was also on the podcast. And this guy in this interesting looking suit, what do you call this suit?
Dream suit.
You had a different name for it too.
Yeah. I had the dream suits, and each dream suit has its own name.
Amazing. So he came up to me randomly. What is your dream? I'm like, what the hell? Why? Who's this guy? Why do you want to know what my dream is? What is your dream? And I had to think about it, and I don't even know what my dream is. Yeah? You know, probably at some point, like I had dreams, and it's funny because we started talking, and you had to kind of even pull it out of me. You know, it's like because we're not prepared for that. Like especially when you meet somebody random, you have like the guard up.
Yeah,
you have like you're like yeah, and it's like well how deep do I want to go with a stranger? You know, it's like they don't want to tell you everything. Is this guy gonna walk away? Is this guy gonna make some prank and put me on his YouTube channel? I don't even know. You gotta be careful. So, but yeah, we started talking. You pulled it out of me a little bit, and I do this, and this, and it was cool. And then we connected. And the amazing thing was, Joe Dreamz was like looking to figure out how people intersect. Like, what do I and this person have in common? That's amazing. So, what is your dream?
So imagine a world where everyone is living their dreams. And what that would be like.
Wow. That's your dream?
That's my dream.
Is your dream to imagine it, or is your dream to have a world where everyone lives their own dreams?
Well, imagining is the first step.
That's real. And what answer do you get typically when you ask people that?
Well, it depends if we have rapport or not, right? Mm-hmm. But most of them is get rich, attract a lover, it's finish college or some type of education, it's travel the world, it's a selfless dream for their kids or their grandkids, someone to get better with their health. Pretty much the same thing that people pray for, basically. That people typically pray for is what they usually, when I ask that question, I usually get the same answers. Or a certain type of business that somebody wants to start.
Mm-hmm. Do you think people are living their dreams? Do you ever come across people that saying they are living their dreams already?
Yeah, so matter of fact, I actually have this song that's about to come out. It's called Are You Living Joe Dreamz? And so when I perform that song, it's sometimes people say no. And then you're like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? And so that's what I love about that song and about this cause is like it opens up some real conversations because you never know who you're going to intersect with and what's going on at their life during that time. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't living their dreams who feel like, okay, I'm just going to tough it out for these few years and then I'm going to get my pension and then I'll do what I really want to do. Or I'm just going to stay in it because I have these kids and I want to provide for my kids. And I believe one of the most important things you can provide for your kids is an example of someone who's really striving to go chase, because whatever you're doing is most likely going to be what they're going to be doing. Now, some kids do the complete opposite of their parents, but for the most part, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So that's one thing for people who aren't living their dreams, and then another thing is people who don't know or haven't experimented with the type of activity. Like you had that lady on your podcast, and she was like doing all these other things, and then she went to an accounting class or something like that, and then she was like, she had that primal inclination that like this is my thing, and there's a lot of people who haven't found that accounting class yet, and so that's another thing. That's another thing I hope that this song can accomplish, not just be a song that people dance to and are entertained by, but actually a song that changes the world. Right, that has the potential to cause that domino effect in somebody's mind of like, what is my dream, and lead them to it, even if it's weeks or years down the road.
Yeah. Well, some people don't even think about it because they haven't been asked a question. And then when you asked me, it was one of the first times I thought about it in a long time. That's why I didn't have a prepared answer.
Wow.
That's why it's important what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe I'm living my dream. And I gave you an answer, but you didn't like my answer. But
I didn't?
Because you kept like trying to get more. But here's what I was trying to explain is like, for me, I don't have one thing that is my dream. It doesn't make sense to me because if I ever got that one thing, then what would be the next dream? So how could that one thing be my dream? Like, okay, I want to, have an amazing career. I want to have an amazing wife. I want to have an amazing this. But like, okay, I got my amazing wife and now what? It's like, okay, my dreams are over? No, like now I'm living my dream. So for me, I'm actually living my dream. What I mean by that is that I'm on a journey in life that I am happy with. Like the journey that I'm running down is the journey that I choose to be running down right now. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I appreciate that is because I've been in places in my life, especially what I call corporate America, where I was miserable and I was just waiting to get to the next step, waiting to get to the next promotion, waiting to get, to get enough experience so I can get the next job, mm-hmm. so that I can have enough money, so that I can do this, so that I can do this.
Yeah, but, it's like the carrot, on the treadmill, trying to get the carrot. Yeah.
But for me right now, like I get to choose a journey. I choose.
Yeah.
I want to work on this. I want to live this lifestyle. Like I escaped the 9 to 5 every morning. I live by the beach. Every morning I go for a walk on the beach. I have an amazing wife that I love. I have I have abundance in life. I get to meet amazing people. And that is my dream. Like I literally am living my dream. Like if you asked me what my dream, that's it. That's it. It's not like the Lamborghini, the this, the that, fuck that. Like that's cool. That's cool. And like the pursuit of that is my dream.
I see. Now, is there something that like a change that you want to see in the world with your work that like is there a certain cause that you really want to get behind? Because like for example, like the dream I have is a dream that will never be finished. There is no way that all 7 billion people in the world are gonna be living their dreams. And even if they were, tomorrow there's 5 new million people, right? And so it's an eternal challenge.
Yeah.
So there's not like we made it. There's only like we upgraded our way of getting towards that. So like, is there something like an equivalent of that for you, like a certain change that you want to see in the world that it'll never, like maybe world hunger or the environment or crime or something that's always going to be around, but you want to slowly, move towards that?
I'll be honest, I don't really think about that. And I really I don't know if I should or not, but I just like to focus on what's in my control. And it's like so small. And I feel like it's very small. And my impact is the people that are around me, And I try to be the best person for the people that I interact with. And I don't, maybe it's naivety, maybe it's the wrong type of mindset, but I can't fix world hunger. I mean, you may tell me I'm wrong, I don't know, but I don't have an impact on crime. I don't have an impact on poverty, but what I have an impact on is being the best person that I can and being a good people to those around me. And that's my limited realm of control. That's what I can control.
And how would you define a good person?
Somebody that does right by others, someone that gives off positive energy in the world, And
that's so interesting. Every time I ask that people that, I get a different answer.
That is interesting, right? It should be a right answer for that question, but
that's interesting.
You'd think there would be if it was like some kind
what
of
is a good person? That could be something that you in the comment section could put. Like, what do you think is a good person?
That's a great question. What is a good person? What is a good person to Joe Dreamz? What does that mean?
Because usually when we answer a question like, what is a good person, we just think of our own values and be like, that's a good person because those are my values.
Yeah.
So maybe someone who lives according to their values and doesn't compromise on their values, maybe that's a good person. So then there wouldn't be like a one size fits all.
That's hard.
Because maybe for some people, even though it might sound ridiculous, maybe being positive isn't good in their mind. Maybe that's naivety or something like how they perceive the world. So just maybe people who live by their values and stick with it.
Speaking of living by your values, I want to talk about a video of yours that I saw where you were performing on the street and some gentleman was a little upset that you were taking his spot or that you were taking his shine. And he came over to you and he kicked your bucket, right?
Yes.
Kicked your bucket and showed you aggression. And some people would have met that aggression with aggression, but not Joe Dreamz. Joe Dreamz kept a positive attitude, and instead, he invited this gentleman to collaborate with him. And so Joe Dreamz is playing his music, and homeboys tap dancing. Yo, what the heck? How many times could that have gone a different way?
Yeah, many times.
That's what's amazing about that video.
Substitute any other rapper, and that's going to go a different way. But I'm just trying to be the change I want to see in the world.
Yeah. That was incredible. And I think it touched a lot of people to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got reposted on a lot of different pages. And like even now, like the videos is still kind of on a perpetual. Yeah. People still commenting on it. And I love reading the comments on that and seeing the impact that had on them. Because it interrupts your pattern because you don't expect like something like to happen. And so I hope somebody who watches that and then they get in conflict and then they're like, and they're thinking about what they saw and they handle that conflict differently. That would be awesome.
That would be. And you weren't trying to create a artificial viral moment. You were just being Joe Dreamz.
Yeah, I even forgot the camera was rolling, to be honest. I mean, when something like that happens, you kind of forget the cameras are on.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was crazy. Homeboy came and kicked your bucket.
At least he didn't kick the bucket.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's good. So, what's it like performing on the street?
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. It's great. One, good exercise. Two, you make some great connections. Because just like you were talking about in person with the podcasting, if you're only relying on just social media to get your music out there, you're missing out on a lot of that in-person connection. Mm-hmm. Three, the promotion is crazy because you can get in front of just as many people as you get in front of on social media in person, right? And four, you can make money off of your craft. Like you can make a lot more in person than you can. Well, depending, right? And, you could, depending on how things go, but you can make money in person. Five, the networking, if I didn't already say that, and then the content that you get from being out there, because when there's so many different personalities that are mixing together and everyone's looking at the same screen and watching a different movie, so just leaving the cameras rolling and something is going to happen at some point, right? And so it's just like fishing, it's just having your line out there, having the camera rolling, and then when something happens, you have a moment. And then that moment could literally be worth thousands of dollars on social media. And just a few of those moments per month, like that's pretty good, Yeah. And so it's just putting in the reps and the numbers to capture those moments. Yeah.
What's your approach to social media?
Like I learned this from Gary Vee. Document, don't create. Like document, don't create. Now I am gonna be creating too though, like with skits and stuff like that soon. But like documenting what I'm doing, just keeping the camera rolling while I'm already doing what I'm doing when it comes to living my dreams. Because you never know when a moment is gonna happen, and literally one moment could change everything.
That's true. That's true. Why do you feel like it's important to do social media?
Well, I mean, what's the alternative?
Street.
Well, if you're not recording yourself and putting yourself out there, then how are you gonna grow?
That's right.
It's a different world now. Mm-hmm. So
I think if you have a passion and you have something that you craft that you're passionate about, you have to do what you can to share that message with the world. Whether that be, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but social media is one of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what about, tell me about your music. What's one of the songs that you're most proud of?
It's like asking a mother, which child is your favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
But you don't have any, I mean, do all of them feel equal to you?
They're all water from the same well.
Interesting. Was there one song that had a bigger impact on your career than others?
Yeah, for sure. There's Slam Diego for sure. Like when
Tell us about that.
When the Padres made the playoffs, that was a big moment. And
so did they have you create that, or did you create it and then they kind of picked it up?
So it was funny because I was actually driving for Lyft and I had a passenger. And I always play my music in my car, and I don't tell my passengers it's me until the very end.
They're like, "Oh, okay, who's this?"
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what he said. And I was like, "This is me." He's like, "What? You're like, this is you?" And so he's like, "You know what you should do? You should make a song for the Padres." Boom. Because they just, had signed Fernando Tatis to a big contract. They're really investing in their team. They're trying to turn things around. And I'm like, "All right, cool," And then just kept living life. And then a few months later, the Padres have this game where they were down 8-0 and they hit a grand slam and they had this comeback and they won in extra innings or something like that. And then that same Lyft passenger found me on Instagram and said, "Yo, where's the song at?" I was like, "Oh my goodness." And fortunately, I just had met on the 4th of July, I had met a producer at Mission Beach because I was street performing on 4th of July because I'm like, look, everyone's going to be at the beach, so I'm going to pop up. And so I went through the archive that very night, and I created Slam Diego.
Hell yeah. And what happened after that?
After that? Right after that, almost nothing until they made the playoffs. right? And so what I started doing, I started popping up outside of the games, and so like literally there's like 80 games in the season. I popped up to like pretty much all the home games because I was like, look, if I'm here for 80 games, you know how many people are here? Times 80, and so I'm a big believer in is the compound effect, and is the penny that doubles every day for a month, and on a given week I'm probably popping up at 10 20, sometimes 20 plus different locations, and you know different like tonight after this I'm getting my car, I'm driving to Stagecoach because there's the yellow exit which 30,000 people come out of for 3 nights in a row, and I'm gonna be the only one there, right? And like playing my song, and so doing that every week, every month for years and years, and then eventually it's gonna seem like I came out of nowhere. But now, like, yes, and now it's crazy because like when I'm in San Diego, like almost in any room I walk into, like earlier today, there was a networking event at the San Diego Library, and boom, it's like, oh, I've seen you out here, I've seen you here, I've seen you here, I've seen you here, like like, and it's like the compound effect is kicking in. And imagine another year, like I'm at 100K. Like last year I was around, like at this time I was around like a little over 10K. Right? Imagine another year of doing this, and then a year after that, like this is gonna be insane. Yeah. Like, and the growth, like these whole dream suits is a new idea for like 5-6 months ago, right? And so where are things gonna be in a little bit? So I'm really excited about the future.
Reminds me of a couple of things, and that's such a professional mindset. One thing, it reminds me of what Mike Tyson says whenever somebody says to him, like, "You're looking good, Mike," or you look fit, you look in shape, or you're looking, sharp. He would always respond, "Just wait, till you see me in 30 days." That would always be his response, and it's like, yeah, I look good now, but just like I'm working hard, I'm not stopping. And that also reminds me of Mamba mentality, Kobe Bryant. The guy would put in the extra reps. He's like, look, I know that if I come into training 1 or 2 hours early and I leave 1 or 2 hours late, I'm getting 4 extra hours of practice every single day. And 365 days, that's an additional 12,000 hours 100%. That my competitors are not putting in.
That's right, 100%. And that's another thing about about doing street performing is. And I'm also doing like venue performances too. Like, I got a show on the 11th at Mavericks Beach Club and stuff.
Let's go.
So, and then that's another reason why I do the street performance, because I get gigs, paid gigs from being out there. So that's another thing about it is that it's like a Padre game. That's like 3 or 4 hours of performing multiplied by 80 games. And that's performance number 1 of the day. And then after that, going to the Shell and performing there. And then after that, going to the Gaslamp. Then after that, doing some lift and playing my song, my music, and recording content the whole time, right? And so I'm putting in so many hours because I started doing these live performances when I was in my mid-20s. So I was like, man, like if you look at like Michael Jackson's and Grace, like they started when they were like 6 or 7. So I got to catch up. That's how I was seeing, like I got to get my 10,000 hours in. And so by going out there live performing, I remember one time doing EDC, performing overnight because there's so many people leaving. Like I popped up at EDC at one of the exits and literally performing for 6 hours straight, until the battery's dead, of just people just coming and coming and coming and coming and coming, just drinking water, find somewhere to pee, come back, right? Just just keep performing, watching the sun rise as you're going out there, just putting in the reps. And so the compound effect for sure.
Hell yeah. Reminds me of a couple more things is like the Beatles. I heard that the Beatles, one of the reasons why they became so good is because at a certain point in their career, they were playing in Germany where they would do like these 6-hour shows. Like they had to do 6 hours and they had to figure out a way how to keep an audience engaged for 6 hours. And they did that for like 3 or 4 years straight. And like the amount of hours that they put in there, just a 10,000 hour rule. The more hours you put into something, the better you're going to be the reps. And then also, I'm just curious, why is it so important for you to make it happen? Where's the motivation coming from?
Well, one is like if not me, then who? Like who's going to spread this message of living your dreams in the space of hip hop? or is it just going to be the same stuff we've been hearing since the early 90s? Like one expression I just came up with is if you don't like riding horses, then invent a car. And so I want to make this lifestyle of living your dreams so attractive and look like so much fun that when we look at the fast life, like I was saying earlier, like it's just like it looks boring and it looks old and people don't even want to engage with it anymore. Not because we're criticizing it, but just because we created a so much better of an alternative that it makes it irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine what would happen if all the world class talent that we have in the hip hop space and pop space all of a sudden started promoting another lifestyle that can make just as much money or more money, and promote something that's actually gonna make like people's lives better. Like you know what would happen to the world? You know how powerful music is. You know, like all these stories like teach people how to behave basically. And some people, especially if you don't have a father, like you were, like your mentor, like he was saying, he was mentored by Tupac and DMX, and you see what kind of lifestyle they and what came of Tupac's life and DMX's life, right? So imagine if like the mentors were like, you know, Joe Dreamz or like some other people that you were listening to their stuff in your childhood, like you're gonna be a lot further ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm in the game, because it's like if I'm out here, like every time I go to an open mic, every time I go to an event, it's like we got Live Joe Dreams and then we got the same stuff 100% of the time. Maybe there's one or two times that we go, oh, that guy's doing something positive. But even a lot of times when you see someone doing positive, it's like we don't see the marketability of it. Like this really can't be something that can compete with, you know, a Billboard artist. We need to have an alternative that can land on the billboards and that could sell out, you know, stadium, that can do these kind of things, and with a positive message, who has a look, who has that, right? That's what I'm striving to do, and then creating a lane for other people who be like, this is a possibility, because I know there's other artists who want to do something positive, who want to like be themselves, but they feel like, oh, if I want to be loved and I want to be accepted. This was me when I first started being an artist too. It was like I gotta make the stuff that I see on BET, that I see on the Rap Caviar playlist. I gotta make stuff like that, and I gotta promote that lifestyle if I want to be accepted and loved. But then even if you are, you're not being accepted and loved. It's like a caricature of you as being accepted and loved, not actually you. So that's what I want to do is open that up.
Yeah. Speaking of the caricature, I don't remember who it was, but there was, I remember hearing a clip of a podcast of, there was like some rapper, it might have been 50 Cent actually, where, you know, he's like, I don't know who it was, but he's like, yeah, I don't even smoke weed. But in his like songs and stuff, he's talking about like smoking weed or like popping pills or whatever. And then she's like, yeah, I don't even do that. I don't even drink. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you made your, and what you were saying, like people grow up listening to these things. They get the messages. They're raised by music, and they're raised by a music of somebody that put up a false caricature, and now it's not even a positive one. So
yeah, and I get it. Look, it's entertaining, right? You know, it grabs attention and you know and everything like that. Which is why the only way to win is to create a better alternative and find a way to create an experience that you can't get, and add so much more value to the customer to where they naturally gravitate towards that. And so that's what I'm in the process of experimenting and figuring out and trying and because like that would be so amazing. That would be like a dream come true for so many people to see that, and I believe that impact would last for hundreds of years.
It will. In the legacy that you leave. Absolutely. What was the first song you ever wrote?
It was a song called My Team.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay, so you've been at this for a minute.
So I started when I was in high school, and then, you know, I put it on the back burner, and then went to school, worked a bunch of different jobs, but I never really felt like I felt like a fish out of water, basically, just doing this because I'm supposed to or I need money, and then trying to fit everything within a small window of time after work. Like if you have girlfriend, gym, your whole music career, editing, content, networking, and trying to fit that from like 6 to 9 or 10 p.m. before you have to wake up and do it all over again, like it wasn't gonna happen. So I had to take that leap of faith.
Yeah. And so now you kind of do this as much as you can.
Oh, I do this all day. Every moment. Like right before I was in here, I'm storyboarding. And then, time to go to the podcast. And then after that, time to go there. And then the time to go to Indio, to the Stateswood Music Festival. And on the way there, I have networking calls. I'll be storyboarding some more a little bit while I'm driving. I know not supposed to, but whatever, you know. And then also listen to audiobooks. So this every waking moment is towards the vision. Even the food I eat, everything. Even when I go on dates, like I'm doing music related stuff on my dates. I'm like, okay, hey, like hold the camera real quick, and like we're here, and then we'll go eat and stuff. So everything is dedicated towards that.
What are you storyboarding?
Hmm?
What are you storyboarding?
For music videos.
For music videos.
Yes.
Okay. Do you do it for your content also? That you
Well,
post?
yeah. I mean, I guess music videos could be content,
Right. So yeah. What about like the rest of the other types of your content, like the day-to-day stuff that I see?
Well,
you
the day-to-day stuff, that's not storyboard because you
It's
don't
more
know.
natural, right?
I can't storyboard. Hey, guy kicking my bucket. AI, hey, ChatGPT, show guy kicking my bucket with the top hat. Tap dancer, generate image.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah. But man, you're really in it, huh? Every single day, every single moment, it's like full purpose and alignment. Like everything you do is in alignment with what you want to be.
That's why I think it's so important for people to figure out their dream. That's like this. Are you living Joe Dreams? Is so important. Like this song, because if you don't know what your dream is or you don't have clarity on it, it's like walking into a bookstore and just be like, well, which book do I read? Like, well, and there's not enough time in your life to read all these books and retain all the information. Like, how do you choose which section to go to? How do you know which ones? And so that's what having clarity on like who you are, what your dream is so important because then you instantly know which book, which section to go to and where to look.
Yeah.
So having that clarity.
Do you have a message for people that don't have that clarity yet?
Experiment.
Try things.
Yeah, just keep trying stuff. You'll know. You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know when that activity that resonates with the way you were designed. You'll know when you're acting within that. It's like a fish being in water. Like you know when you're in water.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can we expect from you? What's coming up next? What do you have that you're excited about in your future?
Well, this Dream Summer is I plan on releasing a new video every weekend. That's like a goal is to have the 13 weeks of summer.
A new music video every weekend?
Yeah, that's like what I'm aiming for.
That's
so that's why I'm storyboarding now to get them all ready and shot. And so really it's bringing this lifestyle to life. And the Live Joe Dreams lifestyle is simple. It's dream body, dream mindset, dream relationships. It's simple. And so how do we show that within the future, or how do we show that in the past? How do we show that now? And so I'm just finding different ways to just share this lifestyle through this music and making this lifestyle look really attractive. And I've been reading books on storyboarding, reading all kind of stuff on it, and I'm really excited. I think this is really gonna blow people's minds when they see this, and they're really gonna enjoy this.
I've really enjoyed watching your journey since I first encountered you, and I'm super excited about all the things that you have coming up. When you see somebody who has indefinite purpose and are in full pursuit of that, like everyone just wants to watch. Everyone wants to see what they're going to do next. And that's exactly what you have.
Thank you.
Yeah. One last question for you, because we're just about out of time. And I think I already know the answer to this. I asked this to a lot of people, but because you have such definite purpose, I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm asking you anyway. If you could have a billboard in the middle of Times Square where hundreds of thousands of people every single day will see it, what message?
Live Joe Dreams.
Live Joe Dreams, baby. Let's go. Hell yeah. I love it. That's what's up. I already knew it.
Yep. That's right.
Awesome. Joe, anything else you want to tell the people, the good people?
Live Joe Dreams again.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for coming on my show. This has been such an amazing, amazing show. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your message. Thank you for your spirit and your energy. And thank you for being here. Subscribe to the channel. Should they subscribe to my channel? Do you think they should? Should they subscribe to the channel?
If you're an A-lister.
That's right. That's right. A-listers.
A-listers only.
A-listers only. This has been an episode of The A-Lister Show. Subscribe, like, comment, do your thing, and we'll catch you on the next one.